All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little San Francisco Giants video. Pig and a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And this video brought to you by Mojo Fantasy. I love Mojo Fantasy. Check out Mojo Fantasy. They do free contests with real cash prizes up to 25 times your money you could potentially win. Use that link in the description and use the promo code KRUG KRUEG, and you get your first deposit matched up to $100. And everybody who signs up gets automatically in the running for a Brock Purdy or a Nick Bosa jersey to be given away on Thanksgiving night in our Niners Seahawks postgame. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Giants. While there's been a lot of football and a lot of Niners and a lot of college football going on, quietly, I think a significant um, name has been added to the Giants' managerial job search. The Giants desperately looking for a replacement for Gabe Kapler, and it sounds like they've asked to interview Jason Varitek, the 51-year-old former Red Sox catcher, for their managerial opening. And this is a really interesting name. Varitek is currently a Red Sox player evaluation coach, and he's been the assistant to the general manager. He was hired as a special assistant to the GM in 2012 under Ben Cherington, and now he's been doing this player evaluation coach role with Boston. The Giants called the Red Sox and asked for permission to talk to Varitek, and the Red Sox gave the Giants permission. Now, he was a Red Sox catcher from 1997 through 2011. And, you're talking about one of the most highly respected players in the game. Very respected, very smart, very tough. They rarely did anything but win when Varitek was there. He signed actually a new 3-year deal with the Red Sox in November of 2022 to be in their front office. But obviously, the Red Sox would not stand in front of Varitek getting a manager's job. And he's not going to be the manager in Boston anytime soon with Cora. So, this is an opportunity to maybe pluck one of the premier managerial candidates out there. Now, who is on the Giants list so far? Donnie Ecker, the bench coach to Bruce Bochy, former Giant hitting coach, I think is somebody that a lot of people are speculating is very high up on their list of candidates. Texas is still obviously competing to win the World Series. They're battling right now in the ALCS, and the Giants can't even interview Ecker until after the Rangers are out. So that's probably what's kind of delaying the whole thing, is that they don't want to make a decision without formally interviewing Donnie Ecker. So it's thought that he's a highly sought after prospect in the Giants' eyes, and maybe the guy who could be the leader in the clubhouse in some people's minds. Now, Bob Melvin is a name that's been mentioned. Stephen Vogt, I think, is a great name as well. Vogt, the former Giant and A's catcher, great personality, very positive person. I think he would be a really good manager. He has no managerial experience, but he is a former catcher, and he's got a great personality, and I think he's got a good sense of the Giant organization from being in it. The Giants also interviewed Kai Correa, who's an internal candidate, Alyssa Natkin, who's an internal candidate, Mark Hallberg, who's got a good relationship with Buster Posey. A lot of people feel like Hallberg might be the leader in the clubhouse for this job. One name that's not been mentioned yet is Ron Wotus. We don't know if the Giants are going to interview Ron Wotus. They should. But maybe Ron Wotus at this point doesn't want the job, or at least if he either wants the job or he doesn't want to be named as a candidate for the job without, he doesn't want to be the perception probably of he wanted it and didn't get it. So maybe they'll interview him quietly behind the scenes. Nick Hundley, the former Giant catcher, who's also a real likable guy, who's a 40-year-old guy at this point. He's obviously in retirement. He has taken his name out of the running. He's declined to interview, and obviously for whatever reason, he doesn't feel like he's a candidate for this job or wants to be a candidate for this job. But let's get back to Varitek for a second. Jason Varitek has got a lot of the traits that make a great manager. One, so many terrific managers: Bruce Bochy, Joe Girardi, Joe Torre, Mike Scioscia. I mean, they're former catchers. There's a lot of former catchers. Brad Ausmus, And it's really because catchers are involved in every single play on the diamond. So it's a very cerebral position, and catchers oftentimes make fantastic managers. And Varitek, is a former catcher and a damn good one. And he stated for years that he wants to manage in the big leagues. He played all 14 of his major league seasons with the Red Sox. He was a longtime team captain, a very well liked player, a very well trusted player. He also is thought to have a great relationship with pitchers. He caught 4 no hitters in his career. And just if you go back and look at Boston's championship teams in 2004 and 2007, I think it's safe to say they wouldn't have won those championships, despite all the great talent they had on those rosters, without Varitek. Varitek, in a lot of ways, was the alpha on those teams. And I think he would be a really, really good name. I mean, he's kind of a no nonsense guy. He's a tough guy. He's a smart guy. He's a great baseball man. I think most people could quickly deduce that he is an elite managerial candidate. Now, he hasn't done the job. So it's a little bit of a dice roll, but hiring Stephen Vogt would be a dice roll as well. Hiring Donnie Ecker would be a dice roll as well. So, I mean, really the only guy on this list, that has managerial experience at the major league level is Bob Melvin. So, and some people would say, well, you don't need a retread. Well, is a guy a retread, or is Bob Melvin a retread, or is he a guy with major league managerial experience? And how important is it? I think it's important to have it, but if you have playing experience, if you have that dugout experience, if you're a former catcher like a Stephen Vogt or a Jason Varitek, I think I think those are guys that don't necessarily have to have managerial experience to become a major league manager. Um, but those to me are the two most exciting names, Vogt and Varitek. Vogt because he's very likable, he's very positive, he's got a great personality. He'd be a great spokesman for the team. I think he'd be a breath of fresh air after Kapler. And then Varitek is just a heavyweight. He's just if you want your teams to take on the traits of your manager, then Varitek is probably a guy that you really want. Why? Because he's smart, he's tough, he's a leader, he's a no nonsense guy, he's a no frills guy. I mean, this is a guy who will command respect. He's as I said, he's very smart, he's very tough, he's intense, and he was a really good, smart baseball player and a very likable guy and great with pitchers, and just very much a leader. So that's these are traits that are really, really difficult to find in a managerial candidate. So right now, I mean, when I first heard that Gabe was out, I was thinking, man, Wotus would be a great name, and I do still believe wholeheartedly that Ron would be a great manager if given that opportunity. He works hard, he's smart, he's just got a world of experience. He's got tons of minor league managerial experience. But if they don't go that direction and they want to go with a fresh name, I like Stephen Vogt and I really, really like Jason Varitek. And to me, getting Varitek might be, jumping in on a star manager. And a guy you could be getting the next great manager in the big leagues. It's a little bit of a roll of the dice because he hasn't done it, and Vogt would be as well. But I'll say this for the Giants. I like how they've centered on two really good former catchers as managerial candidates. I think that at least right there shows that they're on the right path. And Vogt would be nice, and Varitek would be outstanding. So I really could endorse either one, Varitek or Vogt. I'd be very happy with either one of those guys as the next manager of the San Francisco Giants. All right. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Make sure you check that promo code at Mojo Fantasy Krug and get your first deposit matched up to $100 and enter into a drawing to win a Purdy or a Bosa jersey. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.